Okay, in this video lesson, we will have a look at the verb tenses in English. So this will help you with your writing, I believe, and also with your speaking. But in the IELTS test or another international tests of English, verb tenses are really important because sometimes you can answer the questions correctly by focusing on the right verb tense, by choosing the right verb tense. So that's why it is really important to be able to use them correctly. So which verb tenses we have? First of all, you need to know that we have two types of verb tenses. As I mentioned in my previous video, we have present tenses and we have past tenses. So when it comes to the present tenses, we can talk about which verb tenses we can use to be present form. So what's the present form of to be? You already know it. Am, is, or are. So, and then we have present, simple present tense. Simple present tense. This is like the auxiliary verbs are do, does. I will delve into the details later. I will talk about the details later. And we have present continuous or present progressive tense. In some grammar books, it says present continuous. In other grammar books, it says present progressive tense. And we have simple future tense. We have simple features like will plus verb 1. We have be going to future tense. In this one, we have be plus going to plus verb 1. What else we have? Okay. We have present perfect tense. Present perfect tense is also a present tense. As the name suggests, present perfect. To be, simple present, present continuous, simple future, be going to future, present perfect tense, like have, has, verb 3, have, has, verb 3. What else here? These are the present tenses. Okay, we also have the past tenses. What are the past tenses? We have to be, past form. And again, what's the past form of to be? It's was, were. We have simple past tense. The auxiliary verb is did. And what else? We have, and in positive sentences, we use verb to, the past form of the verb. And we have past continuous tense. Again, in some grammar books, they say past progressive. Progressive is another word for continuous. Okay, what else we have? So past, what about past continuous tense? It's like was, were, plus verb ing. But this one, present continuous, is am, is, are, plus verb ing. So to be, simple present, present continuous, simple future, be going to future, and present perfect tense. So here we have, again, to be past form, simple past, past continuous or past progressive, or past perfect, had plus verb 3. Here we can also add present perfect continuous, present perfect continuous, or progressive tense, and this is have, has, plus been, plus verb ing. Okay. So here we have also past perfect continuous, past perfect continuous or progressive. Okay. So these are the verb tenses. With present and past verb tenses, you need to know for the IELTS or other international tests of English writing and speaking sections. So you need to know well these verb tenses and when we use each verb tense. So this is just the overall summary. So you can use present tenses with present tenses, and you can use past tenses with other past tenses. So after saying this, so now we will delve into further details of the verb tenses and how to use them. So let's check them now. Okay, with to be present form, we use a noun or we use an adjective. Or we use a noun, we use an adjective and a noun. Or we can use a location. Like a place, like a city or country. Or it's or specific location. So now I will give an example for each. Excuse me. If you use a noun or an adjective after to be, by the way, the present form of to be, we said am, is, are. So in this case, we can say, for example, we can use a noun. I am a software, sorry, let's say I'm an engineer. In this case, excuse me, am is to be. Am is to be, verb to be, the present form. And then after am, we are not using a verb, we are using a noun. So here we used a noun with am or after am. But we can use an adjective. Sally is attractive. Attractive is like beautiful, nice, right? So here in this case, is verb to be. We have the verb here, to be. And then we have the adjective this time, not a noun. But what about this one? Brad Pitt is a handsome actor. Here, again, we have to be, is, and then we have handsome, an adjective, and we have actor, a noun. So we used both of them, an adjective and the noun together. In this one, only an adjective, and in this one, only a noun. So we said after amizar, we can also use a location. My parents are in London. So in this case, are is to be, present form, and London is the location, or in London is the location. So this is another option. Or my elder brother and I are at school now. So here, my elder brother and I. So my elder brother and I means we. So we are at school now. Here are is to be, present form, and its school is the location. So it's about the location, place, where we are a specific location, at school, at hospital, at university. So this is how we use to be. As you see, when we use to be present form, we are talking about now or something about present time. It is still true. It is still valid. So this is how we use the present form of to be. But if you use a specific time point with to be in the past, we can use was, were. To be past form is was and were. So in this case, again, we are talking about a past time expression. But again, the rule is the same. We don't use a verb after to be, no verb. In these examples, no verb. If we use a verb, we need to change the word form. That's why now we are not talking about any verbs. Verb means like action, no verb. Okay, let's check to be past form. Here, we can say, again, the same rule. A noun, an adjective and the noun, a location and the place. Kevin was sick yesterday. Since I use yesterday here, it is clear that I am talking about the past. So that's why after Kevin, I cannot use a mizar now. I need to use the past form of to be. So it is was this time. And then I used an adjective. Kevin was sick yesterday. Sick is like ill. We can also say to be or to feel under the weather. This is an idiom, guys. If you feel under the weather, it means you are sick. It's an idiom. So be slightly sick. To be slightly sick or ill. Okay, but this is not our topic now. This is just extra information. Okay, so here when I say Kevin was sick yesterday or ill yesterday, I mean an adjective because sick is an adjective. So here we used an adjective after to be past form. Again, why we used was, were? Because we are talking about the past. My parents were in London last summer. In this case, again, I used last summer here, a past time expression. So that's why I need to use the past form of to be, were. There is no verb here, guys, as you see. There is no action here. In London is the location. So here I talked about a specific location, a place, a location. Okay, so if I say my elder brother and I were at school an hour ago. Again, when you say an hour ago, it is past. You cannot use present form. That's why here we are using the present form. You can feel confused here. Why after I didn't use was? Because the subject is not I. The subject is my elder brother and I. So the subject is we here. The subject is we here. That's why we were at school an hour ago. Here at school is the location. But this time I didn't use are because I'm talking about the past. Elvis Presley was very handsome. Here, was very handsome. I don't use any time expression here because I know that Elvis Presley, and we know that Elvis Presley passed away, died many years ago. We can say died or passed away, past form. So died. So Elvis Presley, we know that. It's common knowledge. So this is common knowledge. Most people know it. Most people know this because Elvis Presley was a famous person. So that's why we know that he's not alive any longer. We can say Elvis Presley, we cannot say is because this person is not alive any longer. That's why we need to say was. Again, handsome is adjective. And very is an adverb describing the adjective, but this is not our focus now. So I used an adjective. Okay. By the way, here in this example sentence, let me copy this here. I cannot write the same sentence here in this way. I cannot change the location of this. When you use I with another subject or subject pronoun, I should come at the end. For example, here in this sentence, I cannot write I and my elder brother. This is not correct. I cannot change the word order. Whenever I use I should always come at the end. The other subject or subject pronoun should come first. So here, this is not correct. So that's why this is a grammar mistake. So please make sure you don't make this grammar mistake. I should always come at the end. Another example, you can say Sally and I were close friends at primary school. Or Sally and I were close friends at university. And let me give you the same example. So Sally and I were close friends at university. But can I write the same sentence by changing the location of I? Can I say I and Sally? No, this is not correct. But most non-native English speakers make this mistake. This is not correct. Whenever you use I should come at the end, right before the verb. So this is correct. Okay, this is just a side note. I mean, it is about a detail, but it is really important. So this is the past form of to be. So we covered present form of to be, past form of to be. Now I will give you some examples with other verb tenses. For example, present continuous tense. What is the structure? M is R plus verb ing. I am recording a video now. So I am recording a video now. This is present continuous tense. I am doing something at the time of speech. Or the prices of houses in Ontario are changing, are increasing significantly. In this case, this is something happening at the time of speech, at the time of speech. This is something continuously changing. In these examples, we use present continuous tense in English. So if you are talking about something happening at the time of speech, while you are speaking, something is happening, you can use present continuous tense. If a situation is continuously changing all the time, you can use present continuous tenses. So in this case, again, we need to use are increasing because we are talking about a continuous change, something changing continuously. What else? You can use present continuous tense to complain about something when using always. So always plus continuous tense, verb be, let me say present continuous tense. This means you are complaining about something. You are not about something happening all the time. My children are spending a lot of money. So here, if I add are always spending a lot of money, this means I am not happy about this. I talk to my children, but they still keep spending a lot of money. They do not listen to me. That's why I am not happy about this situation. I am complaining about it. Okay. So here the keyword is always. So moving on. So I just explained where you can use present continuous tense. A common mistakes for repeated actions, please don't use for habits or repeated actions. Please do not use this verb tense. For example, I am going to my office every day. So this is not correct because this is a repeated action. Here, it's like a habit or everyday action. We cannot say I'm going to my office every day. The correct form can be I go to my office every day. I go to my office every day. So this is correct. Here you should use simple present tense. So this is not correct. Okay, this is a common mistake. That's why I just wanted to remind you. Moving on. So we talked about present continuous tense, to be present form, to be past form. And now we will talk about simple present tense. We can talk about repeated actions or habits using simple present tense or facts. Simple present tense. So in this structure, in negative sentences, in negatives, we use don't or doesn't. And then we use verb one. In questions, we use do or does. And then we use verb one. In positive sentences, we don't use do or does. We don't use them. So what we do instead, when the subject is he, she, or it, third person singular, we write verb, and then we write s. If the subject is I, you, we, or they, we write verb one only, no s. This is important again in your writing in general. This can be a common problem. So you need to pay attention to the form. So let's check some examples. I go to my office every day. In this case, the subject is I. That's why I use verb one. It is a positive sentence. Okay. If I change the subject, like my sister, then I should add an s at the end. My sister goes to her office every day. So here, my sister is she. That's why after this subject, I should use with she, I use s. So she goes to her office every day. But if I make this sentence negative or question, For example, I can write, do you go to your office every day? I would ask this question in this way. Do you go to your office every day? In this case, I use the subject pronoun you, and then I use the auxiliary verb, the helping verb to, and then verb one. I think I explained here, like to and verb one, or does verb one. Or does your sister go to her office every day? Again, here, your sister is she. That's why I changed the auxiliary verb. With she, I use does. Okay. Does your sister? Again, verb one. In the questions, no s at the end, because we already have does here. We already have s at the end here. We cannot add another s at the end of the verb. But in this sentence, this is positive. So that's why we need to add the s at the end of does, at the end of verb here, guys, because we don't have the auxiliary verb in the sentence, in positive sentences. Okay, so what about the negative form? Here, if I say, for example, my sister doesn't. Now it's not goes, go. Doesn't go to her office every day. This is the negative one. Again, the subject is my sister. And then we use the auxiliary verb, doesn't. And then we say go, no s. Okay, but if I change this one, I don't go to my office every day. In this case, the auxiliary verb is don't, because the subject is I. And then with the subject I, we use don't in negative sentences, and I need to in negative sentences, and then I need to write verb one. I don't go to my office every day. So here, go. Again, verb one. Okay. So this is simple present tense, and you can ask me now, like, where we use simple present tense to talk about habits, repeated actions. When I say habits, maybe you don't know the meaning of habits, are like the activities you do regularly. The activities you do regularly are your habits. For example, I drink coffee every morning. This is my habit. Before I sleep, I brush my teeth. This is my habit. I do it like every day. So you don't need to do something every day. Like, it is important to do it regularly. For example, I go to Colombia every summer. So here, every summer, I go to Colombia. This is my habit. Repeated actions or facts. These can be explained using this verb tense. So this is how we use simple present tense. So the problem about simple present tense is the common mistakes in writing or speaking. When you write the plural form of the subject, when you write the plural subject, you don't make the necessary changes to the verb. For example, my parents lives in France. Or my younger sister work at an international company. When you look at these two examples here, my parents is plural. We have an S at the end. But here, so my parents means my mother and my father. My father and my father. So this means they. After they, you cannot use S. So this is a mistake. So this should be live, not lives. So we should correct this one. Live. This is an example of a common mistake in IELTS writing or in other international tests of English. Look at this one. My younger sister. In this case, the subject is she. And when the subject is third person singular, we add an S at the end of the verb. So this is not correct. So this is wrong. It should be works, an S at the end. So please be careful about these points. What else? When you use a structure with one of plus a plural noun. With one of, this expression, as you see, the subject is singular, not plural. But this is plural, yes. But again, the verb should be singular. For example, one of the students in my class come from Italy. So here, what's the subject? One of the students. Is it singular or plural? So you see a plural noun here, but this is not the subject. The subject is not the students. The subject is one of the students. So this means it is singular. This means he or she. Only one student. That's why here it should be comes, not come, because the subject is third person singular. So this is not correct. This should be comes. There should be an S at the end. Okay. These are just the most important things about your writing when it comes to the simple present tense. So please be careful about those points. What else? We can use present perfect tense. Have, has, plus past participle, verb 3. We usually use this, to put it like simply, when we do not mention a specific time point in the past. When there is no specific time point in the past. In other words, you cannot use this verb tense with the following time expressions. If you see last year, last summer, last week, last night, or blah, blah, blah ago, or in 1997, or in 2005, or in 2022, etc. Or what else? Yesterday, or in the 19th century. If you see these time expressions, you cannot use present perfect tense. You don't need to think about anything else. Here, present perfect tense is not correct. In these examples, you can use simple past tense, not present perfect. Because again, we do not use any specific time point with this verb tense. So that's why you cannot use this verb tense with the following time expressions. Here, instead of present perfect tense, you can use simple past tense. Okay. What else? Which verb tenses you can use here? You can use just, already, yet, nowadays, recently, lately, over the blah blah time periods. You can use these, or even like these days, or today, etc. You can use these in present perfect tense. In present perfect tense, when the subject is I, you, we, and they, the auxiliary verb is have. But when you use he, she, or it, the auxiliary verb is has. Have and has. Okay. So, and then of course we need to use past participle of the verb. I have just come back home from work. Or they have already completed the assignment. Or Susan has not finished preparing the dinner yet. So in these examples, as you see, we can use present perfect tense. Come back. Or have completed. Or has not finished, -1. Okay, here we use some time expressions. We can use like, again, time expressions like just, already, or in this one, a negative sentence, yet. We use these time expressions. What else here we can mention? Yeah. Again, it depends on how we use this verb tense. The confusing part can be, again, the time expression. So if I write this sentence with a specific time expression in the past, for example, let's say, let me delete this one. Let me write here an hour ago, or let me say 10 minutes ago. 10 minutes ago. Now I cannot use have come back. This will not be correct because I have a specific time point here. And what is that specific time point? 10 minutes ago. This is a specific time point. So you can say came back, not come back. This should be came back home, simple past tense. So, okay, in this example, we can use came back home. Because we have a specific time point. Or they have, can we say they have completed the assignment yesterday? Of course, no. Yesterday is a specific time point in the past. So this means you cannot use present perfect tense. This won't be correct. You guys make generally such mistakes. So they completed the assignment yesterday. Okay. So yeah, you need to pay attention to such details. What else? But again, in these examples, which verb tense we used? Simple past. And here again, simple past. Okay, so we talked about present perfect tense, and now we will talk about present perfect continuous tense. This is like have or has plus been plus verb ing. In present perfect tense, usually the action has just been completed. But in present perfect continuous tense, the action is in process. Okay, so here again, there is no specific time point. There is no specific time point in the past. The action has started at an uncertain point in the past, and it is still in progress. It is still continuing. Okay. I have been studying psychology for 3 years. So I gave here a period of time for 3 years, but there is no specific time point in the past. And then the subject is I. That's why I said have been, verb ing, have been studying. And then here, why I am using present perfect continuous tense? Because I'm still studying. I'm still studying. I'm still studying. The action is still going on. The action is still in process. So here, the action is study. So this is a verb, and it is still in process. It is still continuing. Not completed yet. They have been working at that company for more than, let's say, since 2002. This means they are still working there. So the action is still in process. The action, what's the action here? The action is work. It's not completed yet. Here, work is a verb, and it is still in process, continuing, not completed yet. Okay, have been working. And the subject is they. And we have a time expression, but we use since or for in present perfect or present perfect continuous tenses. Maybe I can add since and for here as well. We can use since and we can use for. I will explain the difference later. Okay, that's it. So this is what present perfect continuous tense is. The action has started in the past and it is still continuing, but we don't know when it exactly started, or maybe we know, but we know it in a general sense. We don't have a specific time point that we can use in this time expression. What's the next one? Okay, we talked about present perfect. We talked about present perfect continuous. We talked about present continuous, simple present, do, does, to be present form. And we can talk about future. We're going to future, and we can talk about simple future tense. Okay, so in English, while we are talking about future, we have two options, basically. There are more actually, but these are very important. These two are very important. Future tenses. We have simple future tense means will plus verb 1. This is used for unplanned future actions. Unplanned future actions or spontaneous decisions, or while offering help, or what else? That's it. Okay, for example, I will visit you next weekend. If I say this, like, it means I have this intention, but I haven't planned it yet. But I am thinking about it. I am just planning it. So we said will and visit. But my plan is not settled yet. I mean, it's still an idea. Maybe I will go there. Maybe I will change my mind. We don't know yet. As you see, we have a future time expression. Or if I say, I'm going to visit you, I'm going to visit you next weekend. This is for sure. Planned. I will definitely visit you. But this one is just an intention. Maybe. Possibility. I may change my mind. I may not go there. But for now, this is my intention. This is like my goal at present, but it may change at any time. Okay. In this case, we use am going to, and we use verb 1. Okay, after will and am going to, we use verb 1. This is also important. Okay. In everyday life, we use both of them interchangeably. No one checks like if it is a planned future action or not. So in real life, you don't need to worry about it. But in the test situation, you need to be more careful. Okay, and we have, again, be going to future, as I said here, as I gave it an example here, be going to future tense. So here we use verb 1. Okay, so they are going to study abroad. Abroad means in a foreign country, in another country. In this example, abroad means in another country. So this means that it is planned for sure. This will definitely happen. So what I did here, I put be going to, and then I put study, the verb. And then the subject is they. Okay, I can write the same sentence with will. They will study abroad next year. Next year. They will study abroad next year. In this sentence, again, we are talking about future. In this sentence, we are talking about future. The only difference is like the previous one. One is talking about an intention, and the other one is talking about a plan. Okay. So in this one, it's an intention, possibility. Maybe I will study, maybe I will not. But please pay attention to the verb form, will plus verb 1. No ing, no to. This is also important. And the subject is they. Perfect. I think that's it about future tenses. So we are done with present tenses. What about past tenses. Actually, I already mentioned to be past form. So now we can check simple past, past continuous, past perfect, and past perfect continuous tenses. If you have any questions until this point, please feel free to ask me. You can make some notes, and then you can ask me. Past tenses. So we use simple past tense for completed past actions. And a specific happened at a specific time point in the past. So these two parts are important, and we mostly use a specific time point in the past. For example, like yesterday, I can just copy from above. So this time we need to use these time expressions. We need to use these time expressions. Again, in these time expressions, we don't use present perfect tense because it's a specific time point. Okay, so this is not correct. What else? I think that's it. So let's check our examples with present perfect tense here. Yeah, I gave these examples here. I will use the same examples, similar examples. I graduated from university. I graduated from university in 2006. Or I can say they left the country 6 months ago. In these examples, I need to use past tense because I have a specific time point in the past, and these actions are completed. That's why in these examples I cannot use present perfect tense. I must use simple past tense. So can I say I have graduated from university in 2006? No, I cannot say this because we don't use a specific time point with simple past tense. Sorry, with present perfect tense. In simple past tense, we need a specific time point. Or can I say they have left the country 6 months ago? No, this won't make any sense because 6 months ago is a specific time point, so this won't be correct. We cannot say they have left. We can say they left the country 6 months ago because you are using a specific time point. Okay. This is what simple past tense is. We have past continuous tense or past progressive tense. And this is about was, were, plus verb ing. It talks about, it describes an action in the past, but an action that is still going on, not completed. An action in the past, but not completed. Still in process. Still in process means that continuing, going on. Continuing. Okay. We generally use this when we use when or while, mostly, not always. Mostly used with these words and structures. When you called me last night, I was studying. Or I was studying when you called me last night. In these two examples, we have when, as you see here, so when part interrupts the main clause. So when you called me, past tense, because it's an instant action in the past, a completed action in the past. I was studying. So this was in process. It was not completed. I was still studying, not finished. Not finished, but interrupted because of the phone call, Whenever we use when or while sentences with in the past form, the past continuous part means it was interrupted. So here it was interrupted, it was stopped because of another action. Another action happened. So here I was studying when you called me last night, the same idea here. I just put the when part in the middle of the sentence. Again, this is the idea of past continuous tense. While I'm studying, sorry, we use past continuous tense. While I was heading toward Montreal, police stopped me. So here the police stopped me is past tense. And this action here, while, this was in process and it was interrupted. So I was going toward, heading toward, going toward, I was going toward, I was driving toward Montreal, the police stopped me. So this action was interrupted. So I had to stop and answer the questions directed at me by the police. And then the police let me to leave. So, and then again, I went on my journey. Or in a similar way, you can use the while part in the middle. So the police stopped me while I was heading toward Montreal. This part was interrupted, and this part was still in process. That's all about past continuous tense. In the IELTS writing, we usually don't use, this tense quite often. You can use it if you really need to use it. So please be careful while using this verb tense. It's not that commonly used actually in letters or essays, but it can be used, of course. Past perfect tense, this is the same. We don't use past perfect tense quite often, but of course you can use. This is had plus verb 3. In order to use this verb tense, we need to have two actions. We need to have at least, like minimum, 2 completed actions in the past. At least 2 completed actions. And then we use this verb tense to describe the first action completed in the past. Here's an example. Graduated from university, let's say in 2006, and moved abroad, let's say 2007. So which completed in the first place, moving abroad or graduating from university? So this happened first. So here, to express this one, I will use had plus verb 3. This happened later, so I will use verb 2. So again, generally we use some adverbial clauses of time. Here we use, usually this verb tense is usually used with certain structures, such as after, before, by the time, when, etc. These are some common adverbial clauses you can use in this verb tense. So let's write this sentence. After I had graduated from university, I moved abroad. Or I moved abroad after I had graduated from university. If you use after part happens in the first place. Always the first action. So here, after part is the first action. That's why we used here past perfect tense. After I had graduated from university, I moved abroad. This part is the second action. That's why this part is verb 1. After part is always the first action. And this is the second action. And likewise here, I used after in the middle of the sentence, but the idea is the same. The rule is the same. In the after part, I use past perfect, because this is the second action. Don't feel confused. I can change the order. I moved abroad here is the first action. Sorry, my apologies. This is the first action, and this is the second action. Okay. When we use after or before, because after already describes the order of the events. That's why you don't have to use past perfect tense, but you can use past perfect to highlight the meaning. So what I mean is this: I can rewrite the same sentence with both sides simple past tense. It's still correct. Instead of had graduated, you can say graduated. This is still correct, because after already tells us the order of the events, which happened first. So it won't change the meaning. But this only highlights the meaning, emphasizes the meaning. So here again, the same thing. I can rewrite this sentence in this way: after I graduated. The meaning is definitely the same. So there is no difference in meaning. Only the first one here highlights the meaning, that this happened first. So you can rewrite the same sentence using before. So for example, before I moved abroad, I had graduated from university. So in the before part, we always use the second action. In the main clause, after comma, outside before, we use the first action. This part, this action happened first. Or I can rewrite the same sentence in this way. I can change the order. I had graduated from university. Before I moved abroad. If you use before or after in the middle of the sentence, no comma before. But if you use after at the beginning of the sentence, you need to use a comma to separate these two sentences. This is important. So it's the same for after, before, when, while. If you use them at the beginning of the sentence, you need to separate them from the rest of the sentence using a comma. So here, I need a comma. Okay, but in the second sentence, I don't need a comma. So here, we used before. and we use before or before. Okay, great. So we can use after, before, we can use other verb tenses. But here, this is not my goal. My goal is just to explain that we have two completed actions, and we explain the first one that happened in the first place using past perfect tense. And the second action is explained using simple past tense. This is the idea. And what about past perfect continuous tense? Again, this is not commonly used in IELTS writing or speaking, or TOEFL writing or speaking. Was, were, plus verb ing. Oh, my apologies. Sorry. Had been plus verb ing. I will compare it to was, were, verb ing. We also had past continuous tense. In past continuous tense, we use was, were, plus verb ing. I was confused about these two tenses. Sorry about that. Okay. What's the difference? There is only one main difference between these two. With this one, we always use a process, for plus a process. Like what? For 5 years, for 10 hours, for 20 minutes. We always use for 12 days, just an example. We always use time expression here, a process here. For plus process, but in this one, we cannot use for plus a process. It's not possible. In this one, we don't use any process after past perfect continuous. This is the basic difference between past continuous and past perfect continuous tense. So again, there should be at least two actions. There should be at least two actions from the past. So let's do it. Let me just write it. Studying for 3 hours when you called me last night. Look at this one. Okay, so now you can decide which verb tense should we use, past continuous or past perfect continuous. Well, okay, the first one, I see a process here, and I see a verb tense in past form. So this means the previous part was in process, ing. So I had been studying. I had been studying for 3 hours. Can I use here? Can I use was, were studying? No. In this sentence, we cannot use was, were studying because there is a process here. With past continuous tense, we never use a process. So here, this is the key expression. And likewise, in the following sentence, I can use, I should use, I was studying we are studying already. I was studying when you called me last night. When we use past continuous tense, no process. No process. When we use past continuous tense, there should be a process. Usually. Almost always, but not always, almost always, usually. There can be some exceptions, don't feel confused. Okay, so that's it. That's the main difference. So in this sentence, can I write was studying? No, because we have a process here. Because of this process, we cannot use past continuous tense here. So here in the second one, we don't have a process. So please don't use here, I had been studying only. And in this sentence, this doesn't make sense. Maybe in non-standard English, you can use it, but in standard English, in a test situation, this doesn't make sense. So please be careful. So that's all about the verb tenses. So this is just, again, a quick overview of the basic forms, structures, and also a basic usage of the verb tenses. This information will be enough for IELTS writing or like the speaking section. You need to watch it, you need to take some notes. And if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. Thank you so much for watching the entire video. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.